Oh boy, am I so excited to talk about this game. Well, last time I had opinions about a game, it went swimmingly. Well, right off the bat, let me just tell you, I do not like this game. Wait. I will not be talking about my opinions of the game, only the controversies that Palworld has gone into. And also, it's just more of a genre thing. I don't like survival games like this, for example, Rust or Ark Survival. It's just not really my type of game, but I can see why people do love Palworld and, well, the survival genre as a whole. I do understand why people like the survival genre. It's a lot of fun grinding for hours and hours on end, but for me personally, it's not really something I'm interested in. We're going to be looking at the many controversies the game has gotten into itself and see if they stand true and if this game really should be as hated as it is. I mean, as if the game is even hated that much. The game sold over 6 million copies in under a week, so I'm just going to be specifically looking at the people who are very vocal about the hatred and controversies on either Twitter or Reddit and other social media platforms. Some controversies include stealing models or using AI to create the game, but let's jump into the first argument that people have. It is way too similar to Pokemon.
These are ice packs we're gunning. I mean, ice guns we're packing.
Right off the bat, some of them do look very similar to Pokemon, like the one that looks very similar to Luxray or Creamus, which looks pretty similar to Eevee. I can see how some of them also drew inspiration from Pokemon, like Grintail looking a little similar to a Galarian Meowth, or Anubis looking very similar to Lucario. Yeah, I mean, they are pretty similar. I will say, however, they do function very differently than Pokemon. Some of the pals are also different types from the Pokemon that they look very similar to, like Anubis being a ground type or Grintail being a normal type. The type chart in Palworld, which I'll put up on screen right now, is also different from Pokemon as well. In battles, they also function very differently. It's more like a summon rather than commanding them to do certain actions, and you can even fight alongside your pals as well. Some pals can use guns as well. For example, Tansy, if you construct the right equipment, you are able to give Tansy a gun. Some pals you can control their actions. For example, Daydream, if you give them a certain item, you will be able to control them. Some of the pals you can ride, which can help you with traversal around the map, and you can even control their moves as well when you're riding them. For example, Melpaka, if you give them a saddle, you'll be able to ride and control them.
I'm stuck. Is this a game mechanic?
There's no turn-based combat. There is no battle screen. There is no, well, any similarities to Pokemon. I mean, sure, there are some, but at the same time, not really. I mean, capturing pals is pretty similar to Pokemon, but I mean, battling is not even close. I mean, some of them are very similar to other Pokemon, but they function very differently. You even have your own base where pals can work for you. They can construct different items, construct different buildings, and more. You can even fight the pals yourself. Even though they do function differently during battles, they are pretty similar in design to some Pokemon, but I mean, Nintendo hasn't really pursued any action. It has come to their attention that they have seen certain pals that look very similar to Pokemon, but they haven't really done anything yet. Well, at the time of recording this, at least. But, I mean, I'm no game developer. Maybe they did steal some of the designs and models. I mean, stealing is stealing no matter the company, but, I mean, Nintendo hasn't really done anything about it, and also, there's no solid evidence that they stole models from Pokemon or any other game. But again, if it does turn out to be true that they have stolen assets from other games, that is pretty bad. I mean, there are so many mods that put guns into the hands of Pokemon and trainers, so hey, why not just have it be true? I mean, they have so many different mechanics from so many different games. You can see the inspiration from Breath of the Wild, Pokemon. I mean, who hasn't dreamed of giving a Pokemon a gun or even a trainer a gun in Pokemon? And I mean, the whole game is just ridiculous, but I think the game knows that. The art style is all over the place, but I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't make a better game than this. It's like that one mod of Mario 64 where he's able to get a gun. Also, how can someone copyright a sheep? Of all the controversies, this seems to be the gray area, and I'm no expert on AI, but here we are. I will share my opinions of AI as it pertains to the game of Palworld, but nothing really too general about AI or anything. First off, there's no solid evidence that the game was created using AI. I guess there's some old tweets from the CEO of Pocket Pair, but we'll get into that later. But I mean, that's about it. Apparently, people on Twitter and other social media platforms are just stating like, hey, there is a history of Pocket Pair using AI to create games, but I guess there's no solid evidence. Secondly, talking about the CEO of Pocket Pair, who has talked about AI a lot and even created a game or involved with a game that uses AI, they never specifically said that Palworld uses AI. It's more just people kind of putting the pieces together that, hey, Palworld might be using AI to create their pals. I mean, the tweets are still pretty weird, like creating fake Pokemon and comparing them to real Pokemon and tweeting this and talking about different copyright things that may be avoided if they do end up using AI to replicate some Pokemon. They also seem pretty proud to use AI to create one of their games, but I mean, nothing specifically about Palworld, but I mean, the vibe the tweets do give off, yeah, it's a little strange. I mean, the game is wildly popular, so I'm sure people are just trying to get a lot of attention by saying the game was created using AI, but there are some things that are a little strange from the CEO of Pocket Pair, but again, no solid evidence. I mean, I'm not too familiar with AI and game development and art generation, all that stuff, so I'm not too sure how morally correct it is, but if they are inserting Pokemon designs into an AI generation machine and sort of getting fake Pokemon from them and sort of stealing them, yeah, that would be bad. But apparently there has been some evidence that has resurfaced that some of the models are pretty similar to other Pokemon. I don't know the specific details, but apparently comparing certain models to Pokemon from Palworld, yeah, they're pretty similar, so maybe there is some evidence against Palworld. But guess what? Leave it to Twitter. The accusations are false. What a big surprise. Apparently somebody scaled down the models to make them fit inside the different Pokemon models, so all of it is false. I mean, of course, Twitter. Do I have to say any more? I will reiterate that the whole topic of AI generation in games is very tricky, but we don't really have to be talking about it with Palworld because they've never used AI to create the pals themselves.
The yoink and twist, baby. I made a career off of a phrase called yoink and twist.
So this topic, there's no clear-cut side on this one. People just hate how this game uses different mechanics from other games, for example, Breath of the Wild, Pokemon, other survival genre games. Yeah, it's pretty similar, but again, it's fine to be inspired by other games. As I stated earlier, I mean, the whole point is this game is just ridiculous. It's just a mishmash of different types of games. But I will say, overall, it could use an update. For example, the art style is a little rocky and seems to be all over the place. You can definitely tell the landscapes are very inspired by Breath of the Wild, but the pals are inspired by certain Pokemon. I mean, with some updates, maybe making the terrain and character a little more cartoony or making the pals a little more realistic, it could fit very, very well, but hey, it doesn't even look that bad anyways. Some mechanics are pretty novel, but mechanically they aren't amazing right now. For example, trying to ride certain pals, it can get pretty buggy and stuttery, but I mean, with a few updates, I'm sure they'll fix that in no time. I mean, the game is still in early access or beta or whatever the hell you call it, so it's fine. They'll find their footing, they'll figure out all the bugs and glitches, add more content, and also the game is in a very healthy state currently. I mean, to reiterate, it's just Pokemon with guns, and they sort of play into that idea that it's just a combination of a whole bunch of different games, and that's totally okay. Also, again, Nintendo can't just copyright animals. They also can't copyright gliders as well. And I think the reason so many people are trying to dig up all these controversies about the game is because, well, they just don't like the game and how popular it is. It's so weird how people hate how Nintendo handled their legal and copyright issues, but all of the sudden, when Nintendo doesn't even seem to pursue any actions, it's like people want something to be done. It's like, why are we siding with Nintendo all of the sudden? If you don't like the game, then just don't play the game. That's it. I mean, that's what I did. If you don't like how similar some of the pals are to Pokemon, then just don't play the game. Also, just don't create random arguments or accusations that will end up getting the game shut down and ruining all the fun for everyone else. I don't like the game, but I'm not going to do that stuff. I'm not trying to ruin anyone's fun. And it seems like the game is massively popular, and, well, it just seems like people are just trying to create accusations out of thin air.
Oh no!
I understand why people would not want to play this game. I mean, also there are a lot of controversies, but it seems like not a lot of them are even true. It just seems like people who don't enjoy the game just want it to not succeed. It's weird how people have such hatred for Palworld, and while I don't like the game as well, I'm just not trying to ruin anyone's fun. I think it's really cool that Pokemon is finally having some competition, and yes, the games are very different mechanically and gameplay-wise, but I think it is cool that, well, Pokemon has to step up their game because Palworld is doing extremely well. And I also hope for all the Palworld fans out there, hopefully they patch some of the glitches and bugs, but I mean, it's still in early access, so just give it some time and the game will be in a very good state. Knowing my luck, all of these controversies are going to be true as soon as I post this video.